So, if the check cleared, hopefully you would have seen the time-lapse video of the dechroming of these parts here, the wheels, that's the grill of the half cab, and the mirrors for the P407. We'll go into a little bit more detail about that later on. But yeah, on the back of the last video, you would have seen the car just dismantled and parts everywhere, and but we did actually take footage of dismantling the chassis, modifying the leaf springs, rebuilding and modifying and painting the shocks, and painting both differentials. So basically everything on the chassis is going to be black, except for the shockies, a nice yellow. Yeah, we did have, like I said, we did take video of all this stuff happening. But being the professional videographers we are, we accidentally dropped the footage on the floor. Well, it just disappeared. I think we might have mice. Okay, I promise no more jokes for the video. So these parts, we obviously stripped these parts of the chrome, but we're going to leave them for now. We'll tell you what they're about all later on. Oh, I have a message. Stop around and get on with it. We are the kings of continuity. We spent a bit of time stripping the chrome off the wheels. I want to paint the wheels white. Right? Now, in the first video I said we were going to try and modify the axles to suit 12mm hex wheels. On closer inspection, yes, it can be done. Yes, there are adapters you can buy. After a bit of research, they cost a lot of money, so we're not going to do that. This is a budget build. We're pretty much trying to do whatever we can do with what we have. Anything we do have to buy, we're trying to buy it pretty cheap. Alright, so we're sticking with the... I also did say in the first video that if we can't modify the axles, we're going to stick with these wheels and just put different tyres on. So that's what we're going to do. So we stripped the chrome off. I thought they would have come out a little whiter than what they did. Whiter, not whiter, whiter. So I'm still going to paint those. I've got some Toyota white. We're going to paint them. We're going to detail the nuts and the hubs. Make them look all pretty. But the actual dechroming process, not much to talk about. Bleach, normal household bleach. Poured her in a bucket, or actually put the parts in the bucket, poured the bleach in, let it sit. It just ate the chrome away, and from what I can tell, I've been looking, from what I can tell, it doesn't affect the plastic at all. Once we pulled them out of the bleach, we soaked them in some hot soapy water and gave them a good wash. I don't know if you can smell that, but yep, no, there's no more bleach on there. So that's the wheels. Springs, like I said, we did video what I did with these, but we lost the footage. Very simple. All I did was take the metal leaf out of each spring pack and then put the spring pack back together. That was it. Very simple, very simple. Shockies, I said we rebuilt and modified the shockies. And by that I mean, in the first video you would have seen the spring on the rod up the top here, the helper spring. We took them out Took the shockies apart completely, cleaned them all out, put some extra O-rings in the top to seal the oil, and when I screwed the shocks back together I used some thread sealant, just some white goo that we use on hydraulic fittings, right? Just some thread sealer on both the caps, screwed it all together so far, and now they're actually working as shock absorbers. These shockies now actually work as shock absorbers should work. So that's that. The diffs. The diffs, I haven't touched them. All I did was paint them black. Alright, the rear diff. Like I said, I've already locked the rear diff. Alright, so there's nothing real special there. The front diff, also painted black, in case you couldn't tell. But what I am going to do is take the steering knuckles off and swap them end to end. And that's very important, because when we go to put the servo, when we go to front mount the servo, when the diff sits in, this way as standard, the ball end for the steering is here, but we want it over this side, because that will line up with the servo horn. So that's the front diff. So that's suspension sorted out. The chassis, I left all the spring hangers and shackles bolted onto the chassis, and all I did was paint everything black. So everything's black, the diffs are black, the gearbox is black, everything is black. Now the motor, the 27 turn motor, I've actually ordered a 45 turn motor and a waterproof ESC. So I've taken the speed controller out. I'll take the motor out when I get the new motor, so I can just swap it straight back in and there's no parts laying around anywhere. That should turn up hopefully in the next couple of days. Couple of days for me, it'll be 5 seconds for you lot on YouTube. The shift servo I've left in there. I'm using the standard shift servo that came with the P407. It seems to work fine. It seems to have a bit of a trim issue with second gear. Hopefully we can sort that out. But the steering servo, I'm using a only because that's what I got. I'm using a standard 6 kilo servo. I'll most probably upgrade to a 20 kilo metal servo later on. We'll just see how it goes. But yeah, the 45 turn motor and the waterproof ESC is on its way. And that's about it really. That's it for part 2. I'm also buying a driver figure for the cab. The cab will be an episode on its own. We got some ideas for the cab. You did see this at the start of the video. If you can guess what's happening with that, then leave a comment. And we got a lot of ideas for the cab. We have had some input on the colour of the cab. Not a lot of input. Most of it has been a little bit silly. Not naming any names or pointing any fingers. Rob. I mean, come on. Magenta. Grey primer. Yep. Could be tough, but come on, be a bit more creative. Some were silly. Okay, they were all silly. All 3 of them. But we're taking them all seriously, and we're hoping to get a bit more input, might I say different input, on the colour of the cab and what to call the actual car. But for this episode, that's about it. Like I said, next time you see it, hopefully it should be back on its wheels. It'll be a running chassis, rolling chassis basically. And then after that, we'll start on the cab and the bodywork and the paint. So, see you next time.